Hey, welcome back to Sales Remastered. Just a quick tip here. For anyone that's selling any services over the phone or generating any business over the phone, you have two forms of leads. You have outbound and also inbound. And this video is going to tell you how to be more effective with your time in doing outbound calls or follow-up calls. Number one, follow-up calls are powerful, very powerful, because I believe 90% of sales agents do not give a third or fourth call, let alone a second call to follow up on their initial pitch after the services or the product has been rolled out and offered to your prospect. And whether you're in an atmosphere where you get high lead activity, so you get lots of inquiries. A good example would be like a call center, or if you're at a retail brick and mortar shop, you have a lot of foot traffic that comes by you. So you might be very high pace, high amount of lead activity. But then again, you also may be in an atmosphere where you only get one or two opportunities per day. And so you have to be very effective with where you focus your time. And either atmosphere you're in, whether it's a high, fast-paced environment or slow and steady with one or two leads per day, you need to be very effective with your time. Not only effective with your time on where to focus, whether it's focusing on networking or focusing on follow-up or focus on outbound calling. There's a technique and strategy to do such without having to spend massive amount of hours, pounding your head against the screen, wondering how come no one wants to do business with you. And so technology has enabled us to have, CRMs that allow us to do a multiple blast, email blast I'm referring to, where you can take a bucket of lead types, and your lead types could be different, but you're categorizing the lead type. So lead type of, let's say, a rate shopper or a price shopper could be one bucket, and that will be all type of leads who you've talked to in the past that is just searching for a bottom line fee. I have that bucket, and it's called window shopper. It's because they always feel like they're in the market, but they're just window shopping. They're not going to buy unless something captures them. And I keep that to the side because I understand where their focus is. And so maybe I was not able to flip them on the first interaction, but if anything changes or if there's a special going on, I can focus on that bucket and email blast all at once, whether it's 50 contacts or 500 contacts. I can send an email template and blast each one of them an email template with some sort of value, but it's very vague. It's not saying, hey, are you in the market to buy? You have to be able to bring some sort of value to open the dialogue first. And so in my example, I offer courtesy reports to show them information that otherwise they would have to pay for. So like the property value, or maybe the school system in their area, or what influences their value of their home. And the only other way to do that is to pay for an appraisal, for example, appraisal on the house. And so whether this applies to your product or not, you get the idea. The bottom line is that email blast to follow up is not a sale. It's all it is just a quick update, giving them some update value, but the value needs to be impactful or bring enough value where it sparks curiosity. So like, for example, I'll send an email blast and say, hey, please see attached. I think this report is great and it can really give you some powerful insight, but there's no attachment. And so they'll reply back and say, where's the attachment? Now I have the dialogue. And then I can go in from there. And then number two, besides, understanding the power of the follow-up call, where you focus your time on outbounding. So if you have the ability to do a little bit of research on the contact before you start outbounding or outbound dialing to generate new business, it's always good to understand who you're calling. And there's, again, so much technology and social feeds to help you understand these pieces of information that's going to help you convert a sale on the outbound call. And so an example would be, LinkedIn. LinkedIn, you can find out what your prospect does for work, what their job title is, how long they've been at work, their interests are, meaning their hobbies and who they follow, and it gives you the rare ability to, you know, almost feel like you are their friend, because you're speaking in a way that they understand and that they relate to. So for example, if I was speaking to someone within operations, right, like let's say a loan processor or a human resources representative, in my conversation with them, I would say things that they normally hear per day and that they're more accustomed to do, right? So I would ask them for support. I would ask them for guidance. You know, I would ask them for assistance, you know, different things that they're used to giving because they're accustomed to doing it for 9 to 12 hours per day. Same thing with, let's say they're not in an operations role. Let's say you find out your prospect is in nursing or caregiving. You know, in my sales conversation or during my conversation, I'm going to say words that they relate to, like care. You know, you need to take care of. Or I want to make sure I'm providing for you. I want to make sure that I protect you. I want to make sure that I check in on you. These little phrases or these little anchors, if you will, or triggers, are things that they relate to and that they understand. And so if you take a step back and really understand who you're talking to and how they perceive information, it's super powerful. And then finally, final example is if you find out that they're in a management role or a VP level, a high executive position, then there's a different approach to them versus if you're talking to someone in caregiving. And so you'll be, you know, a little bit more of a subordinate approach instead of asking, instead of requesting something or demanding a time to talk to them. You know, you want to ask them in different, the wording is important. So if you send an email, instead of saying, I'm going to call you, you want to say, may I call you? Because they feel that, of course, they're of authority and they want to feel like they made the decision. And all you're doing is just showing them options that funnel them to the end result that you want, which is to get them on the phone and sell your product. So I hope this information is helpful. If you sell over the phone or you want more sales tips and techniques to improve your sales conversion, please consider following Sales Remastered. There's a link below to hit subscribe and comment, like, unlike, leave comments on what your takeaway was and what you do, and I will always respond. I will always participate in communicating with my community. And again, all this information is free. I'm just sharing with you different techniques to help take the grind away from your